Good morning, everyone. Thank you. I was leaving my apartment the other day and making my way towards the elevator in my complex. And the elevator is always reliable, but sometimes you might miss the elevator if someone gets in it before you and you aren't quick enough to hop in it with them. Then you have to sit around and wait quite a while, of course, until the elevator makes all the stops and comes back to you. Those of you getting ready for FDF, I'm sure, are aware well of this phenomenon. It's not the end of the world, but naturally it is still quite an inconvenience. And of course, if you are the first person on the elevator, you always have a choice of two different buttons you can press once you get in. You can either press the doors close button that will close the doors even more quickly so you can get on your way, or you can press the rarely used doors open button that you might press if someone else is coming and you want to give them some more time to enter the elevator. Anyway, the other day, as I left my apartment, I could hear voices in the hallway behind me. And I made it to the elevator first, with plenty of time for the doors to have closed by themselves and for me to get on my way. But for some reason that day, I decided to pause. And I felt more inclined than usual to press the doors open button. And actually, I had to press this button 2 times because the people that were in the hallway behind me were a little further behind than I had anticipated. So I pressed it twice. And finally, the people arrived, and I could see that it was a father and son. The father was extremely grateful and thanked me profusely for keeping the door open for him. I noticed that he was holding a bunch of towels and blankets in his arms, and he seemed very happy for some reason. In our short elevator ride, he said, I just want to thank you again for holding this elevator." I said, "You're welcome," okay. And then he tilted the bundle of blankets and towels toward me and revealed a little baby swaddled away. He said, "My daughter was just born today, and I'm taking her downstairs to meet her grandma." And he was beaming with joy, as fathers do, and I congratulated him. And as he got off the elevator, though, I couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed at how close I was to pressing that doors close button and leaving this baby out in the cold and delaying the joy of a grandmother meeting her grandchild for the first time. It was a small thing to do, to press the doors open button, but it was the right thing to do, the moral thing to do, the friendly thing to do. And for some reason, in that moment, there was just an extra nudge that moved me to press the button more so than usual. Our whole gospel passage today is about one small, kind act. Jesus heals 10 lepers afflicted with one of the worst diseases in human history, and just one of them turns around to say, "Thank you." Thank you. A small gesture, but the right gesture. One that took about 2 seconds of the healed man's time. But this small gesture had a huge impact on Jesus Christ himself. The healed man had dropped to the ground to thank Christ, and Christ said to the man, "Rise and go on your way. Your faith has made you well." Rise. Jesus changed the world by rising from the dead. He told this man, healed from an awful disease, to rise as well. So let us rise above the poor decisions that might tempt us and always make these right decisions. For as we see today, the choice is simple and opens the door to many beautiful possibilities and blessings for ourselves and, more importantly, for others. Jesus doesn't ask us to do something that is too much for us. He doesn't ask us to do things that we are not capable of. He looks only for us to do the right thing within the abilities that we already have. According to St. Gregory the theologian, God is pleased when we do what is within our ability to do. That is why when a moment of opportunity for us to act comes along, we should take a moment to pause and feel God's direction in the process. There was a little extra nudge I felt last week to keep those elevator doors open when perhaps any other time I simply would have let them close. So think about the decisions we make and how God might influence these decisions. In today's gospel passage, Jesus is tremendously pleased with the one man who turned back to simply say, "Thank you." This was not a mighty act or a superhuman act by the healed man, but it was a genuine and humble act. These are the displays that please God and Jesus Christ the most, because these little choices make huge differences in the lives of the people around us. When I was in high school, there were these little bracelets that were very popular with the letters WWJD stamped on them. What would Jesus do? And while the phrase was indeed catchy, it doesn't quite hit the mark for us as Orthodox Christians. The fact is that Jesus did many things that we can never do. He is God himself, after all. We should instead ask ourselves, what am I able to do? What positive choice can I make within my own abilities to improve a situation? What might God be asking me to do in this situation? It might sound simple or easy enough, but as we see today, only about 1 in 10 people take the time to think this way. It is a rare thing to make the small right decisions, but it should not be. Let today be the reminder to take an extra moment here and there to listen for God's direction in even the simplest of situations, and let us make our choices accordingly. And I will leave you all with this one brief but profoundly encouraging quote, again from St. Gregory the theologian. God is pleased when we do what is within our ability to do. Amen.